Hey guys, my name is Mushroom, Shrooms, Mushroomy, Shroomster. I have a lot of different names, and I just really like lore. So, the new season is out. Obviously, if you've been following me on other socials such as Twitter or even TikTok, I've been trying to make a lot of stuff talking about all the lore we've been getting, because it's a lot. It's a pretty overwhelming amount compared to anything we've really gotten before, including Season 6. This season is setting up a lot of stuff, and the overarching narratives that are going to be moving forward as well. There's just a lot of setup and important stuff being placed around. With that in mind, we're going to be making a lot of videos over the next couple weeks, kind of covering different topics, so I'm hoping we can get content out quicker. That's one of my goals right now, is to get things going a little bit quicker and just making more topics more accessible to people, because I want people to know about this stuff. It's really cool. And in general, I'm just going to be digging into all the new heroes, the state of the world, and much more in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe, speaking of, before we get too deep into this topic. I think now more than ever I'm going to say that, because it's a really exciting time, and if you like lore, I'd really appreciate it if you got to be here with me. So, with all that out of the way, let's focus on what I wanted to make this video on in the first place. I want to really take the time to focus on a pretty crazy lore development going on that's happening in the background, and it's still developing as I'm talking right now. Let's talk about Emre, the conspiracy, and the pretty shocking new development. A connection to a pretty big lore character you might have heard if you've read Overwatch Declassified. Chernobog, one of the only known god AI. This one's a really juicy one, and I'm excited to dig into it and explore it more with you guys. Now, let's get into this with a quick summary on Emre's story so far, and what he's been up to in the past. Emre's story is filled with mystery. Originally a member of Overwatch's strike team, Emre was known as a kind and heroic figure, but also followed orders to a T. He was close with mainly the personnel in smaller teams in Overwatch, such as Search and Rescue. Here, he would meet Freya, and the two became very close friends. As Overwatch went on and Blackwatch was revealed more and more, Emre decided he no longer trusted or respected the organization, and left. After he left, it's stated he mysteriously vanished for a few years, with no one being able to find him, until, suddenly, he appeared at Talon, completely changed and reformed. The once kind soldier was now cold, calculating, and powerful, a super soldier. He took on many jobs for Talon, until mysteriously vanishing once again. Now we get closer to the present day, with Freya. She was tasked with hunting Emre down and returning him to Maximilian. She chased Emre across the globe, reaching out to Talon agents to get information. She quickly learned he was different, and currently, every sighting of Emre was of him attacking a global security station, places Emre and Freya had visited many times in their Overwatch days. This led Freya to his next possible location. When the two finally re-met at this base, Emre had eliminated all the Helix personnel on the base, and he didn't seem, well, human. But, as the two had a quick skirmish, and finally were able to talk, Emre explained that he doesn't remember how exactly this happened, and that his past is a mystery even to himself. A voice seems to take over him, beckoning him to do certain tasks, like work with Talon. And if he disagrees, the voice takes control, so he's forced to comply. Freya decided to take Emre back to Max, but she says she'll stay with him and try to save her old friend once more. So obviously Emre's past right here is pretty shrouded in mystery, but with Season 1 we have a few really interesting connecting pieces that have already started to spring up, such as the conspiracy. The conspiracy is something we talk about a lot here on the channel, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I am going to give a little summary for those who don't know anything about it. Sombra was getting close to something many years ago, and discovered an eye symbol dubbed the conspiracy. It seems to rule the world from the shadows, puppeting important events. They led to the destruction of the original Overwatch headquarters, and even the fall of Yari's people, the Inti Warriors. The conspiracy is still shrouded in mystery, but with Emre, we seem to have our first hero who's directly connected to the eye. In his visual design, you can pretty obviously see the eye on his chest, constantly moving, but also when he ults, his charged attacks leave the eye symbol behind. Now, an important part of Emre's lore is when he ults, the program takes over, and his voice even changes to a machine, showing he's no longer Emre. Another important thing to note in-game is, when he spawns, for a second you can see text in the corner. This text, while blurry, can be seen and focused on, revealing Finnish. And when Emre ults, his ultimate line is also in Finnish. It's kinda odd because Emre is supposed to be Turkish. So, everyone's kind of assuming that whatever controls Emre must be from, or related to, Finland. The AI itself being the one that's actually speaking Finnish in the corner and just allowed to itself makes a lot of sense too, since it's kind of the thing holding Emre together at this point. So with all that in mind, do we really know any characters that are from Finland? Well, we do know of one AI character in the lore who was based in Finland, Chernobog, the god AI of global security. So it seems like a stretch with just this to connect the two, but what kind of sells this for me is if you go to the Blizzard website and look at Emre's lore, an entire chunk is encrypted. Some great people on my social medias, on Twitter and stuff, have been able to decrypt it, so I'm going to put them up on screen now, thanks to these two. These two were the first two to shout out and help me with this, but here's what it says. Chernobog bypass initiated. We are watching. So the connection between Emre, the conspiracy, and the god AI Chernobog is all but confirmed with that, and it does make a weird connection to why Emre was going after global security installations. Chernobog was the god AI of security, well, global security, and we know very little about it aside from that. The only real other thing is that after Anubis rose, god AI across the world were shut off, including Chernobog. Its team was pretty close with it, it's stated in Declassified, and they felt bad about shutting it off. And as it was being shut off, it started to spew out a ton of random papers and sheets, and its final words were written on these. They were simply, I understand. I'm sorry. With that in mind, it does paint Chernobog as a bit more of a kind AI, comparatively to Anubis or others. So it is kind of weird to imagine it as being this evil machine, but I do have some ideas for why it could be like that. I think it makes a lot more sense that someone is forcing Chernobog, and Emre as well, to work for them. Maybe there's someone above both of them who's truly forcing these two forces together, making them both do this to each other. I think that could be a really cool thing about exploring Chernobog as a character and not making a second Anubis, basically. But also, I think it just makes Emre a little bit more interesting being stuck with a literal god in his head. There's a few ideas for who's controlling both of them that I want to go over, but this is more nothing concrete really. The conspiracy is such a weird concept that doesn't really have any evidence to even its existence aside from Emre now, that there's nothing really concrete we can say. My favorite ideas for who's above all this and connected to the conspiracy are Anubis. I've seen the idea that Anubis could be the one behind the conspiracy, maybe it's working from the shadows trying to free itself slowly. That would make a lot of sense for how it's controlling another AI, since Anubis can rewrite AI, but at the same time, I wonder if Anubis would rewrite a god AI. Perhaps it would only try to harm it a little bit, keep it intact. That could be why Chernobog is still doing global security things. Another idea that I've seen online is maybe the conspiracy is made up of an inner council, like an Illuminati type of organization. This would make a lot of sense just based on the fact that it seems like this group is trying to perpetually cause conflict in some ways, or trying to move the world in a certain direction. However, another really interesting thing I thought, and I've seen online, is what if it's other god AI? Maybe all the other god AI aside from Anubis have all teamed up and are trying to keep the world safe as best they can in their own way. This one I think is the weakest of them all, since all the god AI should be at the Arcology right now, based on what's said in Overwatch Declassified. If you don't know, after the crisis, most of the god AI were transferred there as a basic housing place for all of them, a neutral ground for the world to kind of agree on they could be kept there. So that one doesn't really hold up to me. Of course, there's always the chance that Chernobog is working on its own. Maybe it's driven insane and trying to deal with global security as best it can, similar to how Anubis was left alone and, without human contact, went insane. There's really so many different ways things can go from here as to who controls the conspiracy or even is the conspiracy. There's also some smaller things that I didn't really get to mention yet, such as Sombra getting annoyed when she hacks Emre, or even when Echo duplicates Emre. There's a voice line about how she seems to get taken over as well by the machine virus. And, of course, the conspiracy controls where Emre goes, so they want him with Talon for some reason, at least for the moment. It seems the conspiracy has moved him out of Talon and back in, kind of back and forth constantly. So this could go back to the idea that the conspiracy wishes to sow chaos and keep the world on the brink of war. Or, alternatively, maybe the conspiracy has some stake in Talon, and even in Vendetta. It's hard to tell exactly what they want for now. All in all, everything with the conspiracy here has been pretty neat to see explored. We're definitely going to be seeing more of this in the future, but I wanted to make a quick video here just kind of talking about Emre himself. Emre has a lot of ties to the conspiracy that I didn't talk about entirely in this video. There's so many interactions about it. I wanted to focus on Chernobog being connected, and we finally have another player in the whole conspiracy. It's pretty neat to see. I hope they really lean into Chernobog being its own character eventually, and maybe we can see about exactly what happened to it to get it to this position. It does sound like Emre maybe was stuck with it for a while, and judging by he was vanishing for a few years after Overwatch, so I wonder what that was like, and I hope we do get to see a bit more of that in the future. However, I'm just really excited to be talking about lore again on this scale. There's a lot of really cool stuff that's already been revealed, and I can't wait to show you guys and talk about it more soon. And that's all for me. But what did you think? Do you like this stuff with Emre? Do you want to see more of Chernobog? Are you excited to be getting more of the conspiracy? I know it's kind of a hot topic in the community if you like it or not, and a lot of people don't even know it exists, so let me know down below. And as always, thanks for watching this far. I really appreciate it. There's going to be so much cool stuff coming up on the channel, and we are bringing in so many new faces and awesome people to help work on it, so I'm really excited to see where things go in the future. As always, that's all from me, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye!